What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to episode 46 of the Ironheart podcast. This podcast is about filmmaking, marketing, and running a creative business. My name is Lungile, and welcome to a brand new episode. So this is episode 46, and in today's episode, we're going to be talking about the things that good content producers do. I wanted to talk about this because it was a cool topic that I came up with. And because I'm also a content producer, but mainly most of my clients are content producers. So they produce films, TV shows, TV series, reality shows. And I realized like the more I work with them, there's so much stuff that I pick up, and I just thought I'd share the things that I've picked up by working with a lot of producers. And hopefully, if you're a producer or an aspiring producer, you can pick up these tips and apply them to your life or to your business. Okay, so this is going to be really cool. Okay, so one thing I've learned about producers, one of the best ones that I've worked with, they have a list of different freelancers. They have a list of freelancers that they can reach out to whenever they have projects, from editors, designers, camera people, animators, 3D people, and this is something that really helps them. So when they get a project, they don't have to start looking for people to work with. They already have a list. They know what the people's rates are. So if you're a producer, I think it's really important to start building your network. So build your network and find people that have a skill set that helps you, that can help you become a better producer. So network with different editors, designers, animators, camera people, so that by the time you get work or you have a TV show or a commercial that you need to shoot, you know who you're going to work with, So this is something that you can actually do passively in between jobs, always be building your network, meeting new people, talking to them, something that I've also been trying to do recently. Every time I see someone with a cool skill set, I'll DM them, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram, and say, hey, I really like your work. How do you usually work and what's your rate? If I have a project in the future, how can I work with you? And then I build that rapport so that I know in the future, if I ever do need someone like that, I can just reach out to that person. After I've gotten their email and their rate, I put it on a spreadsheet. I actually have a spreadsheet, guys, of like different people, from like editors, designers, animators, 3D people, and illustrators. So it's something that you can do in your spare time when you're not too busy. It's always very good to build your network, because when opportunity comes, you want to be ready. You want to be just ready to jump on them. So that's something you can do, okay? Another thing I've realized that good content producers do, they have rental accounts with different gear companies. So the big gear companies, they have accounts with them, so that if they ever have a commercial, they don't have to start the process from the beginning of opening a rental account and then applying, and then, they already have that sorted, so that if a job comes, they know where they're going to hire expensive film equipment and video gear. So it's really important to have accounts at different film rental companies. I've been trying to do this, but I've actually been slacking at it, but I think I'm going to do this after this video. So if I get more work, I can just have multiple rental companies, because if you only have one account with a rental company and you try to hire something from them, and then all of a sudden they're like, that camera is booked out, you're going to be in trouble. But you have multiple rental companies, you can try out different companies, okay? Another thing that I realized is that good content producers pitch all the time. I know a producer who works with one of the big TV production companies, and I realized they pitch all the time. Almost every week they'll pitch 2 shows or 2 programs, And what I love about that is that they're not precious about their ideas. And I'm sure it's probably like a numbers game where they pitches a lot, and then some shows get commissioned and some don't. But I think as a producer, you always need to be hustling. You always need to be pushing. You always need to be trying to get the next project. And even if you do get the next project, you can work on the project, but continue pitching. Maybe hire people, delegate. And I see that's what this big production company do. The producer will pitch, and then once they get the show, they'll hand it over to another producer who will run the show. And while they run the show, go and shoot, they don't spend time at the TV show shoot or at the studio. They'll come up with new ideas and continue pitching, and then keep popping in and out at the TV show or when the show is being edited to give their creative input. So it's like a really well-oiled machine. And I know, obviously, if you're like one producer who's running your own company, you don't have a big team. But something that you can do is come up with multiple ideas so that you can always have a lot of projects ready, because, you might think have one project and think it's the one, but if it doesn't get picked up, you might have an issue, But if you have multiple projects, it makes your odds even better, and not just having one idea. But yeah, so that's one thing I picked up. They pitch a lot and they come up with a lot of TV show ideas and projects. The other thing that I've learned is that they really manage people. They don't actually do the work in terms of shooting and editing, but they learn to delegate and communicate their vision to the different team members and freelancers and stuff like that. And they're really good at articulating what they want to do. I think it's a really important skill because they're not like operators. They manage people that operate, and they know how to shape stories, whether it's from an editing perspective or a design perspective. And it's a really cool skill, Some of the best producers, they really know how to talk to people. They're nice to people, and they make sure the operators and their team members get what they need and help them solve their problems in order to get the best project out there. So it's a really cool skill. I'm not sure how you can apply it if you're still solo, but it's something to think about, Another thing I learned from this one producer is that they're always prepared for the worst. They're always ready if like the power cuts or if the card is, like they're always preparing for things that could go wrong so that when those things do go wrong, they always have a plan A, plan B, plan Z, so they can have the production continue. Because as you know, working in film and TV production, when you're shooting and when you're in the production phase, so many things go wrong. People are late, some people get into car accidents. They're always flexible and ready for things to go wrong. And then they're always ready to like adapt and keep going so they can get the production done and finished. So it's something that is really cool to always be ready and always be preparing for things that could go wrong. Another thing is I've realized they dress well, like they look professional. That's something that I had to learn for myself was like, if I want to be taken seriously, it sucks. The world, they do judge you in how you look, but you have to dress well. You don't have to be wearing a suit all the time, but like they dress well, they look professional, and they command respect. These things do help them with their success, contribute to their success. And another thing is they don't go wild on social media. They don't tweet profanities or dramatic things, I think, yes, there are certain things you can speak about on social media, but I think once you are in business, there's certain things that you need to keep to yourself. I know it seems like I'm censoring you guys, but I mean, because, people are always watching, collaborators are always watching, broadcasters are always watching. Sometimes I feel like you really need to think about what do you actually want to do. Do you want to be like successful, or do you want to be like the crazy person that is outspoken on social media that no one wants to work with? You could also go that way, but you might agree, you might not agree, but I think it's really important to watch what you say on social media so that you don't block yourself from certain opportunities. Another thing I realized, they are organized. They are super, super organized, from saving their paperwork, saving their projects, from how they work. I know some companies, they really have like put their projects on a server and they save their projects by date or by project. And then if a year later they need that work, they know where to find it. They don't just have stuff all over their computer. So they're really, really organized so that even if they're sick, someone can go into their computer and find a specific file. So I think it's really important to be organized in that instance, because then the team can all save each other. When they need stuff, they can go onto each other's computers. So I think it's a good trait to be organized. It's just making you more professional and more faster and proficient. Because you don't want to be working with clients when they ask you for a project you did 6 months ago and you can't find it. You're going to look bad, Another thing I realized, they attend film markets and film festivals, the international ones and the local ones and the big ones. I think it's really important as a producer to start opening your mind to the possibility of going to like the Cannes Film Festival, to going to South by Southwest, going to film markets like MIPCOM, I think that's also in France. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure right now. But they really network internationally. They don't just network in the country or in the same city, and they really expand their network. And they really get to make really good connections. So it's really a good thing to think about. I know it's probably really scary to think about going to another country where you don't even know where you're going to stay. But to think about it and research and plan and see if you can try to go to international festivals. Because as a producer, you need to be like a mover and shaker, making connections, finding people you can do co-productions with other producers. So I think it's really important to think outside your country and think about how you can go to a festival in Nigeria, in Mauritius, in Tanzania or Europe or America. I think it's important, and also just think about it. Plan for it, save some money, and go and explore and make new connections. I mean, it can really, really help you in your career. And maybe if you're scared, you can even ask other producers where you went to a place that you wanted to go to. Like, where you're going to stay, how you're going to travel, how much does it cost? You can research all these things. Plus, there's Airbnb these days. So it's really, I think it's a good thing to open your mind to bigger possibilities, So another thing is, as they travel to different places, they open themselves up to doing co-productions with people from different countries, understanding co-productions. As they go to film markets, they get educated in terms of how different countries work, how different governments work in terms of co-production and financing and funding. So those things really help you make the right connections. Another thing is they're always looking for content they can turn into films and TV series, like IP from books, games, podcasts, and news articles. So I think it's also a cool thing that you can do. Instead of just trying to come up with ideas for productions from your own original ideas, you can come up with original ideas, but also look for TV books and podcasts that you can actually potentially turn into a TV show. I think it sounds a little bit complicated, but I don't think it's that complicated, And I think you just have to jump in and just try and see how it goes, and how you can contact an author of a book that you love and say, hey, I'd like to option this book. I want to turn into a series, And it's not that expensive, But it's just something else. I just realized they just find ideas for shows at different places, Not everything has to be original. It's just another way of trying to make projects so you move, you continue with your career, Okay, so another thing I learned is that they work on a lot of content. I'm probably repeating myself, but they're always proactive, always pitching new ideas to their clients, and they dream big, Another thing is that they do is, obviously because they pitch a lot, and usually when they pitch, it's always nice if you have a visual example of what your show could be. So what they do is they work with editors, and they make sizzle reels and little trailers and little 2-minute pilots from stock footage. So this can help you get your idea out there. So I've worked with a lot of producers who had to make sizzle reels for shows. One show that I worked on 2 years ago is actually on Netflix, a reality show. And I remember I worked on the sizzle reel for the show while it was still an idea, while they were still pitching, to Netflix. And it sold the idea. Now the show is on Netflix. It's actually really cool. Like, for me, it's like a weird experience. Like, I worked on the sizzle reel, and then now the show is there, So it shows that, like, those things do work, Obviously, I'm not saying they got the show because of my sizzle reel. I'm sure they did a whole lot of work. My contribution was probably 0.01%. But I realized, like, sizzle reels help get projects greenlit. Okay, so it's something to think about. So they make sizzle reels. They have subscriptions to stock image websites, stock footage websites, so they can put together a sizzle reel quickly with stock footage or stock footage and stuff they've shot. It's a really good thing to do. Instead of just thinking, you have a show idea, let me go shoot it. Using stock footage can actually be cheaper. Some of them are able to work with multiple editors and freelancers all over the country. I worked on a TV show a few weeks ago, and there were editors all over the country editing different episodes. And it was actually really interesting to see that we don't all have to be in the same building, which also opens up this whole remote, getting people from different provinces, can even be different countries. It's really possible. So it's something that I think can really help you also. Instead of just getting freelancers that are in your city, you can open up yourself to networking with freelancers in other cities, so that when the work comes and you're like under the gun and trying to reach a deadline, you reach out to the ones in your city and the ones that are outside your city. And the biggest thing that I learned is some of the greatest producers treat their crew members with respect. They know how to talk to people. They know how to communicate. They know how to get the best out of the people that they work with. And I think those are the best type of producers, And I know obviously there's probably other shittier producers, but not all producers are like sharks and evil as some people see them in the industry. But some of them are really, really great people. And they really appreciate the people that they work with. And yeah, for me, that's the type of producer that I want to be. I want to treat my crew members with respect, talk to people, communicate with them, and appreciate them and thank them, when I work with them, and also help them out in whichever way that I can with their career and stuff. But those are the few tips that I wanted to share, guys. Tips for how to be a good content producer, film producer, or TV producer. If you're an aspiring producer, I hope you can apply and learn some of these things and apply them to your life. I'm definitely going to do that because I really want to be a great producer. As much as I run a company and I'm also an editor, I'm also a producer, and I really want to do the best work that I can with great people. Anyway, this has been an episode of the Ironheart Podcast, episode 46. I hope you guys like this episode. If you have comments, suggestions, or anything that you want to talk about, drop them in the comments. If you're listening to this on Spotify or iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast, please try rate us and give us a review if you're listening to us on iTunes, or check out the show notes and send us an email. I would love to hear from you guys. Otherwise, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit that bell button so you can be notified every time I drop a new video. Until next time, guys, thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.